Ow.
After that explosive start to the game,
Ah!
we're back with God of War 2.
I'm sorry, that explosion effect kind of looked like a bad YouTube edit.
Yeah, it's a pre-render. Also,
Hey,
Kratos,
I
look
take
behind
pride
you.
in my explosions.
How convenient the hand fell right on top of him.
Placing all of his godly power into the weapon.
Yeah, so in the normal story, when you're just playing a new game in general, Kratos placed all of his godly powers into the blade. Kind of a dumb move, because now he's a man again. I don't know how that works, but whatever.
Congratulations, Kratos.
No, John, he did know. Zeus told him to drain all of his godly power into it to power up the sword.
I think he said place your power into the blade. I think like Kratos might have interpreted it as if you believe in the sword will do wonders for you. Something like that.
Zeus
'Cause I
was
don't think
intentionally
Kratos- I don't-
honest but vague about his honesty.
Yeah, because I don't think Kratos would even think about doing it if he knew he had to drain his power to put in the sword. Nah.
Congratulations, Kratos. You're officially the only person who fell for that trick. Good job.
Scrub. Lol.
If only Ares was this dumb, we wouldn't have needed you in the first place.
Yeah, I know. It was like, where the hell was Zeus and the Blade of Olympus in the last game? If Ares is causing you guys shit, just tell him, here, take this blade.
Ares took it, used it as a toothpick, and then threw it in the garbage.
God damn it.
Oh, he look. You know what? Kratos doesn't look robbed of his energy. He looks drunk.
Does anyone see my fish costume? Don't touch it. There's still 3 payments left on it.
And of course, now Ryan has switched over to a regular new game, so.
Yep.
So you had to play the first mission twice, I'm guessing.
Yeah, after I completed the game, I just did the first mission again as God of War, because God of War only unlocks once you beat the game the first time.
I am forced to attend to this matter myself. Athena refused to undo her mistake.
It's remarkable how much the Zeus in the God of War series looks like the Disney version, only just really pissed off.
Yet they got Rip Torn's voice as Festus instead.
Yeah.
Wait, they have the voice of Zeus, voice Hephaestus.
Yeah, and
God of War
what's the actors for the Hercules live action show is actually Hercules in God of War 3.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, the fact that he only appears once in the entire series as a boss fight left him rather disappointed. Boss fight.
Wait, the first boss is Zeus? Or the second boss, I should say?
Boss in quotes.
Oh, it's supposed to
it's a
lose
cutscene
fight,
battle.
okay.
Look, you're taking hits, but your actual health isn't going down.
Yeah, and you can't actually do anything because you're too injured. And
Okay.
you can button mash all you want. You cannot stop this from happening. So, ow, my everything.
You know, if this was made as a PS3 or 360 game, there would have been a trophy for like holding him off for a set amount of time, and it would have been really annoying.
Oh, yeah, because you'd probably have to replay the first mission over and over again in order to get back to this point.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was Kevin Sorbo. That was the actor who played Hercules and also voiced Hercules.
Gotcha.
Did he use his Hercules voice for Hercules?
And hey,
No, it's a different voice.
I don't see why he wouldn't.
look, a PlayStation 2 developer has finally caught up to PlayStation 1 era Square Enix. So.
Yeah. I'm so happy for them.
Yeah, the CG is not bad for the time.
No, the CG for the God of War series always looks good. Why couldn't I do that?
Are you Zeus,
I
bitch?
could do that. Yeah. I'm not wearing that fucking ridiculous fish costume, Kratos.
Well, neither am I right now.
Because, you know, narratively, there's always going to be a problem with a world in which the gods can directly intervene in you know, worldly actions. Because,
Well,
like,
that's
why
why the
doesn't
Greek
Zeus
myths
just
are
step
so-
in and end every war, you know?
Well, the Greek universe, the Greek mythology, the answer to that was the Greek gods are a bunch of absolute dickwads. That's really their answer
I
to
know.
everything.
But, like, it's more of a problem in stuff like Dungeons and Dragons, where a lot of the gods are very specifically not absolute dickwads. And, like, one of the answers that they eventually gave that question was that like the gods need human worship in order to have their power.
That's a common mythological thing in a lot of more modern fantasy and video game stuff. Is that the gods' power is determined by the number of worshippers they have.
Yeah. So it's
In
like,
case you didn't play the first game.
so it's like they can't intervene in the real world because some other god or goddess will get pissed at them and fight them, and that would be bad for them all. So they just sort of hang back and let people deal with things.
Yeah, that's why they have clerics, is basically what's in Dungeons and Dragons specifically. Why they do that kind of stuff.
Hi, naked lady.
Oh, already?
You're not meant to die here.
Now this is
part owl.
This is Kratos having a trippy nightmare.
This is not the end.
Of course it's not. We have another game after this.
Yeah.
And
it's
also, if it did end here, that'd be a really short game. I feel ripped off.
man, the critics were really, overblowing this game's staying power.
I am the
So,
Titan Gaia,
the Titans.
Mother of Earth.
Remember when we were climbing around on one of them in the first game? Well, it turns out they're a bigger part of the story now.
The events of your life.
Yeah, so the Titans, from what I remember from my Greek mythology, lessons in like 5th grade, is that the Titans were around before the gods, and then Zeus killed Kronos, because apparently like Kronos was a dick too.
Kronos was basically got a prophecy from, I think, the Sisters of Fate that his children would betray him and kill him. So his answer was to just not have kids, was to kill any kids that are born under him.
Oh, so tragic! Oh.
Yes, so, but unfortunately, due to Zeus's mother, Kronos kind of missed him. So Zeus grew up, got revenge and all that.
I don't know why you wouldn't just stop having kids if you.
That
don't
would be the
wanna
smart
die.
thing to do, but
But he can't stop fucking.
yeah.
Protection? Is there no protection in Mount Olympus, or what?
Not in ancient Greece. It does. Yep, Mondegreen time.
I love this song so much. This is the end begins.
Yeah. But now I can't hear it without thinking of the lyrics.
Even I recognize this song. Is it? I'm guessing it's in a lot of the. It's.
This takes me back.
Oh,
This was a mistake, Ryan. I'm laughing too hard to commentate now.
Just a note, you cannot just sit here and grind the hands for orbs. They do stop dropping stuff.
Yeah, they'll stop appearing after a while.
Yeah. Not that you would want to grind for orbs. They don't really give you that much.
You know, part of me was wondering, will he actually edit in Bruce Willis's face when he gets to the Willis part?
Yes, I did. Das young sound.
Oh yeah. If I were to sum up God of War's plot, Die Hard would be the words I used.
Well, no, it's not hard to die. It's very easy to die. Kratos just gets better.
Yeah. He comes back from the brink every single fucking time. You think the gods would know this by now?
Well, I don't think they were expecting him to literally crawl out of hell this time.
He did it the first game.
Time.
remember? Hey, that was way easier this time.
You could have been killed. I never lost faith.
So wait, why isn't Kratos killing this random guy?
So, like, in the God of War universe, apparently you just have to be stubborn enough to not die.
And apparently only Kratos is that stubborn.
Yeah, that explains a lot. Like why no one else in this world can fight.
Well, no, people can fight, they're just not very good at it.
That's the definition of not being able
So
to
this is
fight.
kind of an interesting thing, because apparently, like, the whole thing of stripping stripping Kratos of his godhood is implied at this point to only be a Zeus-centered plan, because Kratos elaborates that it seems that he still has allies on Olympus.
I thought
Not
that.
everybody sees eye to eye with Zeus' plan. No, because if you in the beginning of God of War 3. when Zeus is trying to convince the other gods to, like, let's put aside our petty differences and focus on this madman right now. So at this point in time, the other gods are still not totally in agreement with Zeus, and some of them are even still helping Zeus, Kratos.
But I thought that
Mostly because. Sorry, go on, Ted.
I thought that Athena was Kratos' ally, but you said that Athena was the one who shrunk him at the beginning of the game.
No, that was Zeus.
Oh, okay.
That was Zeus.
But Athena just thinks that...
Athena was just warning Kratos about Zeus.
The reason for that, I think, was that like Athena wasn't necessarily in cahoots with Zeus, but she was defending that city because
Kratos was kind of being an asshole.
Kratos was being an asshole, and that city, I think, was under Athena's protection, particularly. So it was a case of them being directly at odds with each other, and Zeus took advantage of the situation to go after Kratos.
Star Fox, what?
Kinda, yeah.
If Star Fox was crossed with the motorcycle minigame from Final Fantasy VII, I suppose.
Oh, God. So you're saying if Star Fox controlled like gas, good to know.
Oh, the motorcycle minigame from Final Fantasy VII controls fine. You're probably thinking of snowboarding.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was gonna say the motorcycle can be pretty jank at times, but it's not bad.
I never had a problem with it, even when I was a kid, to be honest.
I've only did the gold saucer stuff once when I was young, and I never did it again.
Do you even get anything
too
for
short.
doing it?
I just did it for bragging rights.
Well, it's also a matter of knowing exactly where the enemy needs to be for your sword to hit them without fail.
Well, you're winning that game by doing combos. It's not just a matter of hitting the enemy, but also getting that enemy to skid into another enemy.
Yeah. But like, there's a certain position that an enemy needs to be in for your sword strike to hit them in the first place.
Yeah.
But once you're used to that, you can hit them like every time without missing.
Yeah, because I think the enemy patterns are set in that game. So
Yeah, pretty much.
off the top of my head.
There's one track, and the enemy patterns are all automatic. And you know, Square wasn't gonna be doing like a genuine, like fully functional action game hitbox system in their RPG. So it's technically pretty simple shit.
How many, like,
So the moral of the story is that Kratos should be flying a motorcycle. on Pegasus.
are these
I'm sorry.
Pegasus things common, or is it just like this one?
There's only
scene?
two. There's only two of them in the entire game.
Okay.
There's more in God of War 3, I think.
Yeah.
The unique
essentially
sections,
what you're
anyway.
saying is that this is the sky chase of God of War 2.
Yeah, pretty much, actually.
So when are we going to be sandboarding for Chaos Emerald?
It's very cinematic, but like when I mentioned earlier that a lot of PS2 games did the visual flair and cinematic excellence thing really well. One of the things that they all have in common is that they trick you into thinking the graphics are better than they are by showing you really interesting visuals in situations where there's not much going on screen. Like, the obvious example is the Shadow of the Colossus is beautiful, but it's fucking empty.
That game also has the Colossi themselves are big, but most of the time during gameplay you're not seeing all of it at once. So the game doesn't actually have to actually render the entire Colossus every single time.
That's not always true. Like there's one Colossus that I remember quite specifically as a flying one, and you could often see the entire thing. But I think like when you're at a distance, the detail on the Colossus's fur and stuff is less.
Yeah.
The thing about God of War's graphics in particular, though, is that when you actually get up close to the textures, the models, everything is very low on detail. So to compensate for this, the camera is fixed at all times.
It's pulled back a lot of the time.
It's fixed. It's pulled back. Those are two very common tricks that have been in operation since the original Crash Bandicoots, where if you fix the camera in position, you have full control over how many polygons are being rendered out at one time. Like Crash Bandicoot, it kept the hallways narrow and the camera fixed it so that it could limit the number of polygons being displayed. Like whenever the level turns so that you can't see what's ahead very well. That's the game trying to limit the system resources it's using.
Yeah. Thanks, Boundary Break.
So, here's my question. If you have a Pegasus, why can't you just fly to the top of Mount Olympus?
We're not going to Olympus. The Pegasus is specifically not taking us towards Olympus, despite Kratos wanting to.
Oh, okay. So the Pegasus
We
is.
have to-
So everybody
we
in
have
this
to get the help
universe
of
is a
Titans
dickwad, including the horses. Got it.
More like Kratos would not stand a chance against the gods right now because he's just a guy right now without any Pandora's box or blade or Olympus, without any blade of Olympus or something.
And most importantly, no fish costume.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, we're recruiting the Titans first.
Oh, okay.
Man, these Titans are huge.
Well,
I
we're
like this-
recruiting the Titans, and we're going to the Sisters of Fate so we can get our godhood back.
It
Via
really,
time travel!
it really does a good job of building up the Titans, though, when you get moments like that where you can see the Titan's fingernail. Like, its fingernail by itself is huge compared to Kratos.
Well, they're Titans, so.
Yeah, and that makes it really goddamn satisfying when you actually do encounter the Titans in their enormity. Like, I think that the Titans themselves are bosses in 3, right?
Yeah.
Kronos is.
Yeah.
Kronos is you fight Gaia.
Gaia, sort of.
Gaia's hand and heart.
Wasn't Gaia just helping us?
She's not going to help us
Yeah.
in 3.
Yeah, the basic gist of it is that, you know, the gods and the Titans are all using Kratos for their own selfish agendas, and by the end of 3, Kratos kills all of them.
Yeah,
Or almost all
essentially,
of them.
Kratos as of right now is a
Like,
glorified
I think,
middleman.
like, the only Greek god who gets away is Aphrodite.
Yeah.
And that's Kratos being Kratos. Like, the only thing he seems to like quite as much as violence is sex. So, he might want to keep her around.
Yeah, but God of Sex wouldn't be able to make it to the store shelves, no matter how much people would want it. So
totally would.
I'm just saying they wouldn't be able to sell that in GameStop. Is
Probably in the back closets of your local laundromat. I mean, what? No.
Or your Spencer's retailer.
We're talking about all the neat little gameplay additions here. To me, the best one will always be you can slide down walls now.
Yep. Don't have to
Yeah.
climb, just slide.
Yeah.
And luckily, Kratos' swords never wither and break.
Nope.
Sliding down walls is always satisfying. It was one of the coolest things in Prince of Persia 2008. You had this sort of clawed gauntlet so that you could slide down walls.
So, what's your preferred combo system for Kratos yourself? I mean, how do you like to handle enemies?
Depends on the enemy, of course, but I generally like to start with the heavy and then go into a flurry of quicks, because the heavy first will usually knock them out of their initial attack.
Yeah. It's a pretty effective tactic. I think the enemy variety gets to a point where you can't always just abuse that system, but I don't remember. I haven't played God of War 2 to be honest, since it was out on PS2. So my memory about this game is very spotty.
Yeah, again, I started it on the PS2, put it down, then finished it in the HD collection in preparation for God of War 3.
You see, that's the
Yeah.
funny thing about it, though, is that when I hear people talk about God of War, it's almost always about 2 and not so much, even as much about 3. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
But again, that's only because I marathoned one beforehand.
the thing about 3 is that 3 is good, but it's also short. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have as much meat on its bones as 2 does.
which you guys were talking about, that could be part of the problem when the game's, like, as repetitive as these games can kind of be.
Not necessarily repetitive, but it doesn't. Yeah, after a while, it gets to a point where, like, the scenery changes, the imagery changes, but what you're doing with your controller doesn't really change all that much.